Travis Wayne Goodsell. It's been a while since I've done a New Testament lesson video for you guys, as I've been under cyber attack to prevent me from doing long videos. This, I guess, could have been an introduction, as we're going to generally go over the Gospels. Now, the Gospels were written pre-Emperor Constantine. This is important to understand because it means that they're Jewish literature. They are not Christian literature. Because Christianity was created by Emperor Constantine in 325 CE at the Nicene Council. And so if you are to change the Jews into Christians, you're not only anti-Semitic, but you're pulling what's called an anachronism. Putting things, people, places from a certain time period into a time period where they did not exist. And so there were no Christian authors prior to Constantine. There was no Jesus Christ prior to Constantine. Now, yes, the Jews talk about Jesus. They use his name in the Gospels. That's not the same. It's not the Christian Jesus. And the reason why is because these are apocalyptic literature, like the book of Revelation. And as revelation for a future time period, they use specific names because of the meaning of the name. And with the name, you're supposed to learn and be taught from the author. And so, Jesus means Yah of salvation. Yah is the Hebrew God. And its name comes from the Old Testament prophecy of Jeremiah, which is also involved in the book of Jesus, or in Hebrew, the book of Joshua, Yahashua, in which he is a military man who goes into the promised land, slaughters everybody, and has the house of Israel reside there for a millennial reign of peace. It's apocalyptic literature. We know this because it is not literal history. It is completely wrong if you're going to claim historical document, because every single archaeologist will call foul, because there's just too many problems if you're going to try to claim this as real history. And so likewise with the Gospels, likewise with much of the Old Testament books, they are not literal history. Again, this was Constantine who created Christianity, who created Jesus as real and living during the Roman period time, thus turning the scriptures into literal historical documents. They are not. It's an anachronism, and it was specifically designed to be anti-Semitic, to replace the Jews. And so, Matthew. We have no Matthew mentioned in the text. Somebody just attached the name much later on. We know this because kata, according to, is an added definition to kata. It means downward motion. And so somebody added a definition of according to, so now we know the time period, as they're trying to pull an anachronism on the original document that we have here, which is not attributed to anybody. It starts off with the book of the generation of Jesus Christ. So technically, it should be the book of Jesus. But nope, they put Matthew. Why Matthew? Because the name Matthew, Methayahu, is gift of Yah. So, yes, the gift of Yah is Yah of salvation. Now, that would suggest that the Father, Heavenly Father, is named Yah in the Hebrew pantheon, in the theology. What? Because Yah gives the gift of his Son to save the people. Where can we justify that, Travis? Well, you got to correct the translation of Genesis, as I've done. And there you see the head god that Joseph Smith is talking about in the King Follett Discourse is Yah. And he assigns his son, Yah, to create heaven and earth. And after completing the creation of heaven and earth, he's given the new name of Yahweh. Ta-da! So, when you correct the translation, everything fits into place. So this is apocalyptic literature. It's talking about the future. And I've gone over that with you already in the lessons. As the sign in the heaven of Isaiah is changed into literal history by taking out the sign from the quote that they put here. And then they say that Emmanuel means God with us. No. It's the Egyptian sun god Amun. And I've gone over with you how that's Melchizedek of the Order of the Sun from Paleo-Hebrew. And so the Jeremiah chapter 23 verse 5 is where Jesus comes in. He's talking about a descendant of David who is a man like Moses, which he gets from the Torah. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verses 15 through 19. There, the author is writing on behalf of Moses and saying a man like Moses. Thus, the whole story of Moses is apocalyptic literature, because it's all about the last days person who will be like Moses. And so apocalyptic literature is specifically written in story form. And so this, the man like Jesus. But it's not Jesus, it's a man like Jesus in the future. So you can see what's going on here with all the scriptures. So Samson, no, it's not about Samson. He did not exist. It's a man like Samson in the future. Samson is the Hebrew word that I've gone over with you for sun king. Shemesh, sun. The N at the end is a suffix determinative in Paleo-Hebrew for king. For human, kingdom, for a place. And so, in chapter 2, after we correct chapter 1, we then have that birth that is prophesied from Isaiah, which in the book of Revelation, which is apocalyptic literature, chapter 12, verses 1, 2, and 5, and we know that 5 needs to be part of that sign because of the Joseph Smith translation and the Book of Mormon, confirming that they understood. Plus, the actual sign in the heavens on that day confirms it as well. And so you have Jesus, who is Emmanuel, the Son God, but he's as Jeremiah in his prophecy in 23 verse 5, starting in verse 5, talking about the man like Moses who's going to save the Jews and others. And so it's Yah of salvation is the role that the gift of God is talking about, as he is born in Bethlehem, the house of bread. This is the star Spica in the constellation of Virgo. And the woman, thus virgin, Virgo, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son as a sign in the heavens. This is what they're talking about. And Revelation gives us the precise date. And it's not back in the Roman period time. You can get a stellarium, search for yourself. I've already done the videos for you. But yeah, 23rd September 2017. Even China knew and made t-shirts for the event. I got a t-shirt, took pictures with it. I know, because I found it. And while searching around to see who else knew, oh, a t-shirt, yay. And so, yeah, well, maybe we'll put that as the picture. Although this is a lesson thing, isn't it? I don't know. And so, Judea is now Judea. It is, however, phonetically the same as Utah. That's interesting, because Joseph Smith says all this is talking about Mormons. The Christ is a Mormon in the Great and Abominable Church, who will rescue Mormons out of the Great and Abominable Church. And thus, the Great and Abominable Church and the Church of the Lamb, and all that discussion in Nephi's dream. Nephi, the one who visited Joseph Smith, not Moroni. It's the wrong statue on the top of the temples. And so, King of the Jews, Christ of the Jews. Alright, so the next book is Mark. That's Mars. Why Mars? Well, Mars is the god of war. And Revelation talks about, after the sign of the birth, it talks about the great red dragon. That is Mars, the god of war. And wouldn't you know it, this blew my mind when I checked to see the meaning of his name. The leader, prophet, president of the Great and Abominable Church is actually named Mars. Hilarious. But yes, Russell Marion Nelson, Mars. Hilarious. And so yes, this is the false prophet who's speaking here. Similar to Jacob, which would be James in Greek, is the usurper. And so in Acts, James, the brother of Jesus, is the one who's leading the church in Jesus' absence. Jesus dies, oh, the usurper takes over. Ta-da! And so Peter, the seer, because that's what it means in Egyptian, is kind of upset that he has to submit to Jacob's wishes and will, as Jacob is the one who gets to speak last, and his word is final. I believe it's Acts 15 in which that story occurs. And so what you see here is the war between Jesus and the Church of the Jews, led by Caiaphas. And the Pharisees, Sadducees, and scribes are constantly attacking Jesus. And so this is the war battle for the latter days. That's why this is apocalyptic literature. And so I did the video, it's uploaded to explain the coughing. Alright, Luke. If you thought Mars was bad, Luke, might as well just say the Book of Lucifer, because that's what Luke means. Light bearer, light bringer, light giver. Lucifer, same thing. And so Lucy, yes, the female form of Lucifer, in and of itself is harmless, because there's nothing wrong with being a light giver. But the concept of Lucifer from the Latin Vulgate is that Lucifer is attached to Venus, the planet Venus, as the star that always tries to ascend to the noonday position, but can never do it because the sun always dwarfs out the light of Venus. And so that's what Isaiah is talking about in that particular chapter. So here you have Jesus as the Son of the Most High, meaning the sun at noonday, which is Emmanuel. And so as the sun, he is the light bringer, and thus Luke is named specifically because of the specific difference in the book of Luke, as Jesus is the light, the Son of the Highest. And then John. So here you have the Word. In the beginning was the Word, the prophecy of Jesus. And as the prophecy of Jesus, you have John, which technically is dove, but other people render it as Yah has been gracious. It's not Yahweh. There's no Yahwehana. No. It's Yah-on. And the word is actually dove, as the dove in Noah's Ark, spelled exactly the same. You have to take out the Masoretic vowel points and focus on the consonantal letters to then go to Jonas, or Jonah, which is spelled exactly the same. And so John is the dove of Yah. And where does the dove appear? Well, yeah, that's where you have John the Baptist coming in after this discussion. And with the missionary man baptized with, saying, I baptized him with water, and the next day he came to him. Yeah, in verse 32, John bare record, saying, I saw the Spirit descending from heaven like a dove. Thus, this book is called the Book of John. Kata John, not the downward motion of John. The added definition of according to John. And so the reason why John is mentioned here as John the Baptist is part and parcel here. The others I don't think talk about. Luke doesn't talk about himself here either. What about Mark? Yeah, Mark doesn't either. Yeah, none of these books identify the author. These were later additions according to the type of story that it is. And as they are all apocalyptic literature, now you understand better of what to look for and what's going on in the story. And thus are prophecies of the latter days. And because we're almost finished with the latter days, as the enemy is about to destroy all mankind and utterly destroy the world, Acts chapter 3 verses 22 to 24, as Joseph Smith referenced. That's a warning to us. So we are about to have happen January 3rd. So there you go. There's an introduction to the Gospels as apocalyptic literature.